we're going to walk through an example that we saw come up this week through mlenow.ca, where someone had decided to purchase a home, and because they were confident that they had great credit, they had a great job, they figured their finances were on pretty solid ground, that they went ahead and removed conditions. And that's always not a good decision unless you know for sure that you're going to be okay. So here's kind of how the math shook out. They had $65,000 to use as a down payment. They had made an offer to purchase a home that was listed for $650,000, and they were looking for a mortgage of $585,000. So came through Emily, put their information together. We were able to help them figure out which bank was going to approve them based on their score. And so that went really well, and we of course would encourage you to use mlenow.ca. But in this particular case, because the purchaser had removed conditions, the bank decided that they wanted to get an appraisal on the property to confirm that the $650,000 that the client was paying for this property, that the property was in fact worth that. So sure enough, they get the appraisal, it comes back, and the appraisal was $600,000, not the $650,000 that the homeowner had agreed to buy the home for. So what's the problem with that? Banks will only lend on the lower of either the purchase price or the appraised value. And so notwithstanding that the homeowner had said they were going to buy this property for $650,000, the reality is the bank said, well, we don't really care that's what you're going to buy it for. We believe it's only worth $600,000. So instead of giving you that mortgage for $585,000 that you were looking for, we're only going to give you a mortgage for $570,000. So what's the implication of that? Well, all of a sudden the borrower had to come up with more money, because the amount of money that the bank wouldn't give them, they now had to come up with on their own. And so it made a stressful situation that much more stressful. They didn't realize, and they weren't getting very good guidance from the real estate agent that they were working with to not remove conditions until they knew that they were going to be okay. And worse than that, and this happens from time to time, but there was no condition in the purchase contract for the new owner to get an appraisal. Again, why is that a big deal? Well, if you know you need an appraisal for your property, you want to make sure that in your purchase agreement you request access to the property, because in this particular case, the person who was selling the property said, no, I'm not going to let the appraiser into the house. You didn't put it in your purchase agreement, you waived conditions, so as far as I'm concerned, it's your problem to deal with. Now the real estate agent was able to sort of work some magic and make it happen, but in addition to the problems of the difference in purchase price and value, even before that, the purchaser couldn't even get in to get an appraisal. So this does happen. Obviously the advice is make sure that you make your offers subject to an appraisal, and in a rising market, this is oftentimes when we see a situation happen where someone's prepared to pay more than a property is worth on an appraised value. And the reason for that is that all appraisers do when they go to the market to get you an appraisal is they look at the most recent sales for the type of property that you have. So if you have a two-story home on a nice, well-manicured street, what they do is they go to the MLS system and they try to find other two-story homes on nice streets in your neighborhood to figure out what they sold for, and then they basically average the values and tell you here's what your home should be worth. So when the market is rising, like it is in some places in Canada right now, it's quite conceivable that the price you offer on a property today may not be able to appraise out because there aren't enough sales yet that have closed to show the appraiser that the home is actually worth that. So not a huge deal. I mean, this doesn't happen on 10 out of 10 files, but certainly we see it on a handful where someone is prepared to pay more for a property than what an appraisal would say it was worth, and then when they go to the bank to get the mortgage, it causes them great problems. So make sure that doesn't happen to you. Make sure that you're working with a great real estate agent who can help you put the right sales contract together as well.